because I know how it feels when you sing it. I know what it does to you. I know the evil feeling that you feel when you sing it.
Listen here, mission control. Einstein was wrong.
Make sure everything's recording. So let's bring our old friend from the Thrash Archives, John Gallagher. Hey, John, welcome back to Metal Mayhem. What's going on, man?
I'm doing well. Good to be here. Happy New Year to you and everyone out there in Metal Land.
You as well. Where are you calling from today?
Newcastle upon Tyne, England. My hometown. I'm right here.
All right. How's the weather? Probably comparable to up here in Rochester.
It's actually sunny and probably 50s today. It's quite nice. I'll take it.
So, Raven had a great year. You're on the road for the Wiped Out sessions. We hosted you up in Rochester, and you ended the year with an exciting collaboration with Metallica, the benefit show for the Zazulas. We're going to get to that in just a minute, but I just wanted to get up to speed in the Raven camp. This fall, you released Leave 'Em Bleeding, 6-song sort of compilation. People aren't familiar with it. A little bit of stuff from the old days, some covers, and some, hidden gems. Give us a quick explanation what was on there. Help promote it.
That's basically finished up our old record deal. It's, like a kind of best of the last 10, 12 years or so. And we thought it'd be a good idea, rather than just having it a complete retread, of putting out all the associated extra tracks, B-sides. The Mongolian copy had a, a cover version of Space Station Number 5. Let's put that on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we had a live version of Stay Hard, which is pretty cool, which wasn't released, and, got that mixed and put that on too. So it's, in many ways, it's a stopgap, but, unless you're an insane collector, a lot of those tracks you wouldn't have. So I thought it was a good idea. It's a nice package for some great photos, and like I say, that'll, keep the hunger at bay until the new record comes out.
Well, like it says, keep them bleeding. And you mentioned it's the final obligation for the last label, and now you're on a new label with the 2023 release coming out. What's going on there?
Yeah, we're with Silver Lining. We're very excited about that, and so are they. They're knocked out with the stuff we've given them. So the album is complete. It was we recorded it through June and July in Mike's studio in Los Angeles, which was brutal. We had to live on his vampire schedule, like get up at 11 or 12 and start work at 3 and finish at 5 in the morning, kind of thing.
Why is that? He is a nocturnal. That's how he's
a vampire. That's just the way he is. But it worked. I mean, once we beat our body clock into submission, it worked. We worked long and hard and really nailed down these songs and got them done. And we recorded a lot of stuff, far more than we needed for the album. So there's extra tracks, there's a couple of compilation things, cover tunes, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that maybe we'll do something with later on,
Awesome. All Hell's Breaking Loose, still the working title?
Still the working title, not official yet, but we're looking at it, yeah.
So you met up with our friend Kenny Kessel from the Metal Voice, and you had a chance to, originally you said that it was going to be out in May, and it looks like there's a delay on that.
We kind of killed that because it took so long getting the art done. The artwork is it's really awesome, but it took a lot of backwards and forwards, much like the artwork did on Metal City. It took a bit of time, but the wait was well worth it. We're just finishing up the last couple of odds and ends on that, and as soon as we provide that, boom, our technical obligations are done until we have to do a whole bunch of photos and stuff for them. So
Yeah, yeah. Then there more
and,
work, but
and videos, we got that to do too. So yeah.
well, circling back to Metal City to comment on that cover, it's awesome. It's always it's a caricature, but it's vivid. It's eye catching. So if the new one's any indication of what's to come, that then we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, the detail is incredible. The more you look, we had it in. It's nothing like it, but in the way that the cover for Nothing Exceeds was one of those ones where you keep looking and keep seeing different things in it. It hits you, but there's depth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
well,
that's cool.
Us old school guys that sit there and jam it and look at you and something to look at, and like you said, every time
you got something to read, you got something to look at, and it's the immersive experience, which we're all about. That's what it's. This download some anonymous track by someone you've never heard of and don't know anything, and it goes in one ear and out the other. Nah, we craft an album. It's 10 songs. We take you on a journey. Yep. You've got the art to go with it, and we love that, and I think a lot of other people do too. So it's cool.
Well, exciting stuff, and we look forward to doing it all over again. Before we move on, the tour next year, are you still planning on doing the All for One celebration?
Well, we are starting that. We've got what have we got going on here? We are getting into the Metal Hall of Fame.
Yes,
we are being indicted. We are being indicted, as I say. Not inducted, indicted. Guilty. That'll be on January 20th.
Vernomatic here, inviting you to get those horns up and to join us for Metal Mayhem ROC Live. We crack the vaults open and play the best of the metal from the last 50 years. Get in the chat room, meet other bangers from around the world, send me a request and I'll get it on for you. That's Metal Mayhem ROC Live right here on MetalDevastationRadio.com.
26th, and then we've got the Chris Jericho Four-Leaf Clover Wrestling Cruise, which has bands on as well, and we're one of the bands. We're playing on that, which is going to be a lot of fun. And
I was gonna congratulate you and spend some time at the end of the interview on the Hall of Fame, but it's Raven.
Well, we'll just pretend we edited that part out. We'll get to that later.
So it's the Hall of Fame induction, the Metal Hall of Fame. Raven, Twisted Sister, Chris Impallitteri. I think they just added Sebastian Bach, our hometown guy, Lou Graham. I think, is it Lou Graham and Foreigner or just Foreigner?
I believe it's just Lou Graham.
So, and, Pat and those guys at the Metal Hall of Fame really waved the flag. I just wish that it was in New Jersey rather than California so that, I could take a road trip. But
there you go. But,
congratulations.
I'm just happy there's someone, like you say, flying the flag doing that, because I'd heard a statistic that there's literally 3 heavy metal bands that are being indicted again into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah, the Rolling Stone, freaking jerk off collection, for want of a better word.
I can't wait until Maiden declines it, if they ever get.
Well, if I mean, that's the kind of thing that Bruce would do. Bruce would tell them where to go, and quite rightly too. So. Which, if it's ludicrous, the acts that get put in, and I mean, and not even Maiden. There's bands who are classic rock bands who have been around even longer than Maiden and who aren't in. Mm-hmm. It's just a travesty. But you're going to put Jay-Z in, or you're going to put whoever, Dolly Parton. I mean, please.
Yeah, well, we could go on, but let's not give them any more press that they need.
That's right.
So, we're here today to talk about the Metallica Raven Zazula benefit. John, let's just start at the beginning. How did it come about? Don't spare any details because it's very interesting. We get people asking us all the time because of our relationship. And I'm like, we had a chance to talk backstage at the Rochester show and you gave me some details, but again, tell us how all this came about.
Okay, first the earth cooled, then came the dinosaurs. We were in the studio at Mike's in Los Angeles and discussing this, that, and the other, and it came up, it's the 40th anniversary next year for our All for One album, 40th anniversary for the Kill 'Em All for One tour. We're in California. Why don't we hit up the Metallica boys and say, hey, do you want to sit down and talk about this? And we'll put it on video, and either for a box set or a video thing, it's great content. We'll be able to use it for something. It's historical. Let's do it, So I hit up Metallica's people, and immediately James is, I want to do this. They were doing shows in Europe. This is, I'm back in 2 weeks. I'm like, okay, it happened. We, drove up a day early, making sure we weren't going to hit with traffic and all that stuff. Got up there, went to their place, and it was just awesome. We get, through the gate, we park, we're talking with their people, and Lars walks out and then looks and goes, what the F are you guys doing here?
So Lars didn't know anything.
He didn't even know.
Now, when you say their place, you're talking about the Metallica headquarters up in Montreal or up in the Frisco area.
And then we, Robert had came out. I guess they'd been rehearsing. Kirk must have left earlier, and James was coming back a little later. So, we got to go in. We walk in, and we're getting the guided tour. And the first thing we see is a road case with Burke, Shelley, Budgie written on it. And we freak.
Oh, man.
Because we're huge Budgie fans. Yeah. And then right next to it, there's the Marshall Major 200-watt bass amp that Burke used forever. And that we saw in 1975 when we saw Budgie for the first time. And 2 of the Vox cabinets that he used. And then in the control room of the recording studio, there's his bass.
Wow.
The engineer said, have you played that before? I goes, yeah, I played it like 20 years ago. It's great bass. And he goes, that's the best Fender Precision I've ever recorded. And it's got all that history. So that they've been using it. I thought, well, that's really cool, those guys have got the wherewithal to do this. And actually, when James came in, we were telling him this. He goes, you got to see this, like a big kid.
Yeah.
Just a big fan like us. And he takes us in the room, and there on the walls, the Thin Lizzy mirrored sign from the last tour.
Oh, my God.
Now, it'd been thrown in the dumpster, and some roadie said no and took it out and kept it home for like 20 years and then put it up for sale. And James saw it and went, boom, I've got that. So that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's awesome. So this headquarters, I've watched videos, and it is pretty impressive. How big is headquarters? And, they have all the tapestries from the tours and fan banners.
Yeah, it's really big. I mean, there's a bunch of associated rooms, but there's pretty much 2 rooms. I guess there's one, which is the one you'll see on most of the videos where they're playing, which is like a playing room. The other one's more of a storage, which is where we did our video with James. And also they have a lot of the speaker cabinets like blocked off, for recording, and the recording studio. And then there's all offices and kitchens and God knows what else. So it's big. Apparently half of it was rented out by Journey for years, and then Journey moved out, and they just said, to hell with it, boom, let's buy the whole thing. So they took it all.
Well, they're dedicated historians, archivists, and they save everything. And then we go on all day about
stuff. James was funny. He says, you think I'm bad? Wait till you see what Lars has got. Lars has got Burger King receipts from 1983,
But who benefits from that? Us fans. And we're all fans.
It's great that, like I say, they've got the wherewithal and the deep pockets to do this stuff. And, it's great that, Kirk bought Gary Moore's guitar and plays it out on stage. That rather than some faceless entity putting it in a vault and waiting for it to accrue more money. It's a great instrument, and it's great to see it out there. Those kind of things are very cool.
All right, so you're up at HQ. You have you walk down Heavy Metal Memory Lane, and now you're doing the gig. what happened next? How was?
Well, that was the second last gig on the tour. We had one more gig after it. The gig before was interesting. It was a festival in Atlanta, and it was basically all death metal bands. So we were looking at each other like, this is going to be kind of sketchy. This, you know, the one band was on after us was Deicide.
They're old school.
Nice guys, real nice guys. So who knows? But we're like, this isn't our bag, you know. This, and we went on to a Heroes Welcome, and they loved us. It was shocking. It was a really, really great show for us.
Now, John, when you say death metal bands, we call them the squiggly line logo bands, where you can't.
Well, bunch of sticks.
Yeah, you can't read.
Lots of bunch of sticks. Yeah.
But Deicide is old school. But hey, John, don't minimize yourself. All those bands grew up listening to you guys.
Well, that's what, you know, they all came and told us. It says, no, we've got great respect because without you guys, none of this would happen, blah, 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 which is, you know, don't make me guilty, but it's very nice to hear. It's very complimentary. So great reaction. We finished up, packed up like maniacs because we had a 630-mile drive to Florida right after that.
Mm-hmm.
And we get in, and after the usual spinal tapping, driving around the building, which is gigantic, trying to figure out where to get in, treated like gold. Their crew is incredible, and, you know, just nice, friendly guys. And we all got set up. It was all really, really cool. The only thing that got screwed up a bit was the guest list. I guess that fell through the cracks, but we got it mended because I had my kids coming down, and, you know, my girlfriend had flew over from here, from England, and we had other friends from England in, and all this other stuff. But we kind of got it sorted out, and it was really cool. So we got to hang out with Metallica for 20-30 minutes before we went on, which was awesome. And it's James and Lars like, we're going to introduce you. We'll come on, we'll introduce you. And it was a great setup, as you'll see in the videos. That basically, the tour manager was laughing. He says, I've been trying to tell them to get rid of this shit for 40 years, and now they tell me they want to bring it all out on stage. They had all the old speaker cabinets and all the cases and all this stuff. So it looked pretty cool. It really fit with that whole old school set mentality thing, you know.
Well, here's a two-part question. Throughout the years, how often did you keep in touch with Metallica? And was there anyone at this celebration where you're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in 40 years, mate, or anything like that?
Well, not 40 years, because there's a lot of people that, I mean, of the people that were there, the people that we've seen the least is probably Metallica, because you know, when you hit that kind of rarefied air, you're usually not in touch with a lot of people. I mean, we ran into them in '84. The next time we came back to San Francisco after the tour, they came backstage and hung out with us. Mark met them in '86 because Mark used to live in Woodstock, and they were mixing And Justice for All in between doing their festival gigs.
Mm-hmm.
We ran into them in a diner there. We ran into Lars 2013 in San Francisco for like literally 5 minutes. And he did a really nice thing for our DVD, Rock Until You Drop. He did like an hour's worth of talking about the tour. And we reached out and did that show in 2014 in Brazil with them and opened for them down there. And this. So,
just like any other old friend relationship, you're out there, you know, you're always in each other's thoughts. It's just, you know, logistics. When do you get together?
Yeah, but I mean, there's there's a lot of respect on our end, and from what I've seen, there's a lot of respect on their end, and it was really good just talking them about normal, everyday crap, you know. And I never got to talk to Robert before. He's a lovely guy, great guy. Hadn't talked to Kirk in forever, so it was great, you know, hooking up with them guys after so long. And of course, you know, James has been really great through this whole thing, and Lars is awesome. Lars has never changed. He's the wheeler dealer. He's He's a piece of work, but he's a good guy.
Yeah,
They
you know,
definitely are.
a lot of people give Lars a hard time, but
You know what, Lars can just laugh all the way at the bank. It's like there's a lot of people who'll call him out on his playing ability or whatever, and you know the fact is, if they had anyone else in that band, they wouldn't be who they are, and they wouldn't be where they are.
yeah, and
So,
everyone,
you
you're
know,
well said, and you know everyone gives him a hard time about the Napster bullshit. Hey, he was right. He
he
was
was
right.
right 1,000,000%. And unfortunately, I mean, he called it out, but it was a done deal at that point. The world had changed. There was a lot of people a lot smarter than Lars and us and all this who should have seen this coming and should have put some sort of gatekeeper thing in. And they didn't. And the genie was out the bottle. And here we all are now, giving away our music and selling T-shirts. You know, it's a crazy world.
Well, that leads me to my next question. A lot of times when you start doing these tours, merchandise is the hidden financial gem. How did this affect you? Because there was shirts there, specialty gig shirts. Were you involved with the design of that, or reap the benefits of those?
No, I believe the majority of this all went to charity.
Okay.
And we were allowed to sell our own shirts, and we did very well at the show.
Mm-hmm.
But no, all that stuff with the two of us on it all was a charitable thing, which I believe they've played the venue at least 2 or 3 times before. It's like an annual thing they'll do. It's some sort of charity drive thing. And when we to kick back a little bit, when we'd had the chat with James at the end, I just said, hey, there's this little band from Newcastle, you know, like if you ever have any opening slots,
Yeah,
we're definitely available. And he said, well, we've actually got a show coming up that we haven't announced yet, and I'll let you know. And he did. And that's how we got it. You know,
it's awesome.
because we were laughing, saying if this had been done through normal channels, there's no chance on earth.
No
Chance on earth. It would be, you know, Greta Van Heyer or freaking Five Finger Arsehole, whatever, you know, one of those bands.
That, yeah.
You know, they've got the clout, unfortunately, and that's usually what talks. And to have something like this happen, where it's basically between the bands, never happens.
Well, they call their own shots. They can make anything happen that they want to happen. And it's awesome that going back and bringing you guys in, because as fans, you know, we've waved this flag for years. We're very proud that Raven was there at the beginning because, you know, listeners, if you're not familiar with it, back when Raven and Metallica toured together, Raven were the big kids and Metallica were the, you know, the upstarts. And
yeah, I mean, that was their first tour. I mean, I believe they'd only done whatever 10, 15 shows total beforehand. Really,
yeah.
they were, you know, doing the weekend warrior thing at best. And you know, we'd served our apprenticeship. I mean, we'd played the Northeast clubs for years, you know, since like 76. We were doing, you know, 70, 80 gigs a year, playing around the country doing that.
A quick question. Why was the show in Florida rather than up in Jersey?
I believe that thing I'd said, where it's a charitable thing that they've been doing every year. I think they were going to do the show anyway. Are you still there? Have you? I thought you'd locked. You know how it does that. And they probably just repurposed it and just said, you know what, we're doing the show. You know, Raven's available. Johnny's just died. And it you know, it was just a culmination of different threads, which they just tied together and said, let's make this a tribute to John and Marcia.
Well,
and of course, John and Marcia had lived down in Florida for a long time. So even though all the initial glory days and all that was up in Jersey, you know, they were already doing the show. And of course, logistically, they'd already done, you know, half the groundwork in order to do this anyway. So
yeah,
I'm reading between the lines, but I think that's how it happened.
When we hosted you up in Rochester, you had a chance to meet Southern Cal, one of the team members on the Metal Mayhem RLC team. And Cal, who lives in Melbourne, Florida, he wanted me to ask you, how fun was it to be playing in your air quote backyard as a, I'm not sure if you're a Floridian resident, but Mark lives down there. And did you have any, well, I guess you sort of answered that. Did you have any friends and family come to the show that were from Florida?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of people. I mean, I've got old friends from New York. John Errigo and his wife. John was one of the guys that did Kick-Ass Monthly with Bob Muldowney way back in the day. John lives out in Tampa. He came down there. Friends of ours that we met in Chicago on the Kill 'Em All for One tour.
Okay.
They were down there. Geez, who else? Some other friends of Mark's were down in there. And a lot of people traveled from all over. I mean, from out of the country, internationally, to come and see this, which was like mind-blowing. And Mark's like, I can't get my head around it. Why do people think this is such a big deal? I goes, you just don't get it. Says this is like the kind of thing that people have been wish listing forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for them to do that kind of set and for us to be playing with them is, it's like a dream setup.
Let's talk about the set. Geez, you covered a couple from Metal City, Rock Until You Drop, Wiped Out, All for One. Obviously, it's a condensed set from the Wiped Out headline.
Yeah, it got a little more condensed because James and Lars came out and introduced us and talked for 5 minutes, and they took that off our set, which was a little bit annoying, but what are you going to do? We got the wave. But they came out and introduced us, and, we came out, hey, give him a hug, we're ready to start, and Mark turns around to Mike and goes, and nothing happens. And I'm like, no. And that was the longest 59 seconds of my life because his guitar wouldn't work. And when you watch it on the video, it doesn't really seem that way. It just seems like the lights went down, we're just waiting, and it kind of built some kind of anticipation. But it was painful for us because this had happened once or twice on the tour where his rig had went down. And whatever it was, that I think either him or someone else had turned the volume off on the amplifier, and it came up, and then everything was fine.
Issues, man. When you're doing it yourself, you have to performer, engineer, the whole deal. But John, that's just awesome. Is there anything you could take away from this experience that you could share with us that maybe summarizes it, or just really made you stop and think?
It was great to put that out there for John and Marsha, because without John and Marsha, we certainly wouldn't be here, and Metallica certainly wouldn't be here. That was they changed our lives, they changed Metallica's lives, and a lot of other people's lives too. So just to kick that out into the universe was a good thing to do, and to make that known. I mean, a lot of people know, but just to put it out, it's a good thing. And it was great for us. I mean, I've had, friends that were in the audience. It's just, the guy says, there's this girl jumping up and down, going crazy. And he goes, great, her? She goes, yeah. Who are they? I've never heard of them before. This band's phenomenal.
It's awesome.
So here we are, 48 years later, and there's still people don't have a clue who the hell we are. So that's a challenge. That's good,
Well,
we're just slowly breaking those walls down.
The job's not done. Well, if you'll always be our little band we could keep in our back pocket. But it's nice when you get on the big stage and the masses can, they've heard the name Raven. That's congratulations, my friend. We're proud to we're happy for you. So
yeah, it was a good one. And actually the night after was great as well. We played in Cape Coral, which is where the hurricane hit. And it was, they're just getting back on their feet. I mean, I stayed in a hotel where the bottom floor was completely wiped out. They had everything dragged out and were completely redoing. They only had the top floor working. And up until a few weeks before, we didn't even know if this gig was going to happen. And the people came out and they were really happy just to, forget about all their troubles for a while, have a good time with the show. So that was actually like a nice way to finish it all off.
One last question. How did Mike do with all this? Because you and Mark, you were there at the beginning, and Robert wasn't there and Mike wasn't there. Has Mike ever met the band? Because he's been around a bit. He has this resume.
He'd met them when we went up, obviously, to see James.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
He actually, we're all in house. He was getting the sound together on doing the audio on it. We had our friend Paul from Scotland up there doing the video when we did this thing. But I mean, he grew up in Metallica. He's a huge fan. Mm-hmm. So it was a great kick for him to hang out and talk to them and to do that. And like you say, another tick on the resume, as it were, I mean, he's met them before. I believe he's played when he was playing with Fear Factory festivals and met them, like in Australia and what have you.
Yeah, I forget that, it is a fraternity, and so Mike would have a chance. So, all right. Well, John, again, the new one coming out in 2023, All Hell's Breaking Loose. Before we went on the air, you started talking about it's going to be delayed and vinyl issue. So we're looking at August, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully August. As the record companies take their extended holiday vacation from December 15th until probably this Monday. And then they'll start shouting, "Where's the artwork?" and all this good stuff. So, and we'll get that together. But like I told you, the vinyl thing, there's such a backlog. It's like, between 7 to 9 months, which is why we've had to get the stuff in. And it's, we took our time getting the art, so it kicks it back. These guys don't just throw it against the wall. They really want to build a campaign around putting the record out, which is, obviously great for us. And it's a case of like, it'll take as long as it takes.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
You do it right. Yeah.
You can't control it, so you just control what you can.
Yep.
All right. Well, congratulations again on the Metal Hall of Fame. That's at the end of January. I'm sure there'll be press everywhere. Go on YouTube, check it out, and say hello to Mark and Mike for us. And as always, take care, my friend.
Absolutely. And we hope to be setting up some sort of tour for, the September, October of this year. So
right. We'll be
you might
touch.
have us ugly lunatics in your backyard again.
Well, I was looking for, me, I don't never take it. I'm always thinking something. I was thinking, get them back to Rochester. How about an outdoor show?
There you go. See
well,
that?
Don't
do it in the winter.
Yeah, I know.
Hell no.
All right, John, enjoy your.
It's going to be interesting because we've got the All for One thing. We'll have the new album. So at that point, we'll figure out what we're going to do. But, it'll be fun.
All right. Have a safe trip to California, and we'll talk soon.
All the best, mate.
See ya.
Cheers.
Vernomatic here, inviting you to get those horns up and to join us for Metal Mayhem ROC Live. We crack the vaults open and play the best of the metal from the last 50 years. Get in the chat room, meet other bangers from around the world, send me a request and I'll get it on for you. That's Metal Mayhem ROC Live right here on MetalDevastationRadio.com. All right, so continuing our celebration of Raven getting inducted into the Metal Hall of Fame, we have a returning guest, our old friend Andrew Wroblewski, back to the show. If you're not familiar, Andrew was a 21-year-old sound engineer student back in 1983, and he was second chair engineer on that classic Kill 'Em All release Metallica recorded right here in Rochester. Andrew's been on the show a few times. Andrew, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks, John. Glad to be here.
Now, Andrew was on a couple years ago. He told the whole story about his experience with Metallica recording that Kill 'Em All. And then we had him back about a year ago with a follow-up, and he talked about some vintage pictures that he had that he has since donated to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And the gift that keeps giving, Andrew's back again to share his involvement with this vintage Raven Metallica show that took place at the Seminole Hard Rock Casino in November. Again, Andrew, welcome back. How have you been, man? Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year, John. I've been great. Thanks for asking. Everything is awesome.
So, like I said, the gift that keeps giving. Let's get right into it. So, Raven was asked to open for Metallica at this Johnny Z memorial benefit concert that happened in November of this year. It's sort of a take on the history of the band. Raven, Metallica touring together in '83. It's well documented. Hand it over to you. Tell me your involvement with this whole situation.
Well, I had a couple of pictures from the Kill 'Em All session of Johnny and Marcia Zazula, which this concert was a benefit for them or their foundation. And I got in touch with Dan, who is Metallica's creative director, and said, hey, I've got some pictures that you guys might want to put into the show. And, he was really excited about it because they were going to be doing some sort of a montage in the background and that. And so Dan and I got the pictures to Dan. We were talking, and I said, hey, Dan, I said, not for nothing. I said, but wouldn't it be fun because this is kind of like a Kill 'Em All centric show, if I introduced anesthesia pulling teeth, just like I did on the album. And he goes, that would be fun. He goes, we'll fly you down here, we'll do all this. And then a couple of weeks before the show, he called me and said that they had us kind of shorten the set list. And that was one of the things that got cut. He said, but 2023, 40th anniversary, you never know what's going to happen. So I sent them the pictures, and then Dan sent me a bunch of really cool swag, and I heard it was a phenomenal show.
Yeah, it was. We've all seen YouTube clips, and in fine Metallica fashion, it was over the top. It was very fan concentrated, about 10,000 people there. I know some people that were there. The set list was just the first two albums, which
right.
was, a diehard's ultimate dream, and just the whole vibe of it. Now, listeners, you've heard the first part of this interview where we talked with John Gallagher, and he told the whole story and got his input. So this part with Andrew gets better, folks, gets much better. Andrew has provided to us and Metallica a one-of-a-kind unearthed audio tape that he found in his archives. It's about 25 minutes of Metallica while they were recording Kill 'Em All, Kirk noodling and riffing, and you hear Lars and James interjecting some thoughts. And well, today we're going to play some of that. Now, out of respect to the guys of Metallica and the anniversary of Kill 'Em All in the spring of 2023, it'll be 40 years. We're not going to just play it all. Andrew, before we get into this, what did you reach out to Dan, let him know what you have, and what was the end result of that?
I told Dan that I knew that I had a cassette tape somewhere buried in my stuff that I hadn't seen in almost 40 years. And he's like, well, if you could please take some time to try to find that, that would be great. And then I got a call from their manager, and he said, I was talking to Dan. He said, you might have some audio stuff. He goes, I'll tell you what, he goes, we would be so grateful if you could find that. And so I did some digging through some stuff, because I've moved, a couple of times since, found the cassette tape, had it digitized, and then got it into your hands here. So this is what we're going to hear today, is a little bit of that.
All right, great. So I went down to the lab, and again, folks, I just edited down a couple snippets. So this first little clip we're going to listen to, it's about 2 minutes long. I labeled it Randy Creepin' EVH. Remember, it's the spring of '83. So you hear Kirk jamming And then you hear the creeping death riff that he brought from his days in Exodus. And then you hear him channeling his inner Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen. That's at least what I got out of it. So let's take a listen to this and tell me what you guys think. Well, as you can see, we heard the creeping death part, and that's my interpretation. Thought I heard some Randy in there, the end part with Eddie.
Yeah.
Andrew, what did you think of that?
Yeah, when you and I talked about this, and we pretty much were on the same page. And, just so that people have kind of a visual in their head, Kurt was sitting inside of a guitar isolation booth, which is like a little booth made out of glass that's inside the studio. And he was just sitting in there with his little amp. And all I did was just take a microphone and put it on the stand and started the recording it just out of a whim. I still don't know why I did it. I'm glad I did. But so that's why you're hearing it. It's a little bit, tinny, a little bit distant and stuff, but it's just one mic in that open area inside the isolation booth.
Well, I may have an explanation of why they were doing it, because this next clip we have, it's Kirk and James, and they're working on the middle part of Four Horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanics version was morphing into the Four Horsemen, the middle part and Kurt's contribution. And the key in this is they were working on the sound of a head of an amp. And, that's what I heard through their dialogue in this clip. So this one's a little longer. It's about 3 minutes long. And it will start with Kirk noodling, and then he'll stop and he'll start talking with James, and then he'll start working on the middle part. He'll stop again, and James will give his input. And then the second half of the clip, you really start hearing them constructing this, and you hear the enthusiasm. And I just want to make note that this is proof that Kirk just didn't slide in and play Mustaine's riffs. he was help restructuring the sound of Metallica. So this is here we go. This clip, I just call it Kirk and James creating. Here you go.
That's that riff I was gonna put in that second solo. No.
That? No.
I can put it there if you want me to, but you know, the second one was instead of doing that, I'm gonna do that. That's how I was gonna start it out.
How long is that solo?
Oh. Not really sure. Yeah, that sounded good. That sound right?
Yes. Do that.
Well, yeah.
Do that one lead again.
And there you have again the professors in the lab and the creation. Andrew, what's your take on this?
Well, I mean, you know, Kurt had just rolled into town, you know, I mean, he was learning stuff, you know, on the run here and that, you know, because he was his former band Exodus. And so, you know, here they're working on stuff and they're learning how to work with one another. And you heard, you know, Lars, I think at the beginning, I don't know if this was the clip, but Lars said, "Hey, you're doing good. It sounds good." They're very encouraging and stuff. And then, you know, James sitting there going, da, 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 you know, like, and they were just trying to work things out and see how they could make it sound as best they could.
You're right. It was that timeline. He was probably in the band 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah, right.
And granted, they knew each other from back in the Frisco scene. Yeah. You know, it's been documented how he got in the band. But here they are, the other side of the country, in some studio, some town they've never been to. And they're working in the middle of the night, people they didn't even know, and they're creating. So this is really, really the infant stages of a career that has gone 40 years. And they're still doing it. And so that's I'm sure you listeners are going to jam that over and over and over again. And that's a treat. So now this next clip, we're having fun with this one. It's not as long. It's only maybe a minute long, but we're holding a special contest here at Metal Mayhem ROC. we're going to be, all you have to do is go to our website and sign up for our newsletter. Just metalmayhemroc.com, click the newsletter, sign up for it, and your entry will be put into a drawing. We're going to give away Metal Mayhem ROC swag. We got some shirts and whatnot. But more importantly, Andrew is going into his vault and he's ponying up some rarities. Andrew, what are you going to contribute to this swag bag we're giving away?
Well, this is a guitar pick from the Johnny Z November 6th show.
There it is. It just went in focus. So, and what's on the flip side?
And then the flip side is the locale where the show was, which is
the Hard Rock Casino in
Fort Lauderdale.
Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, so this is a guitar pick I got from Metallica's management and their creative director Dan. They made them just for that show, just for that night. They weren't made available for sale or anything. So it is a pretty decent rarity, I would say.
Okay, and can we up it up anymore? You got anything else we could put in this swag bag?
Well, since we're talking about Kirk primarily here, what I'd like to also put into the swag bag, as you're calling it here, is a photo from the Kill 'Em All sessions of Kirk, on guitar, which nobody's seen. So rare stuff.
Andrew, thank you. That's very generous of you. And it's just this whole relationship we're just sharing it with the fans. It's just Andrew was lucky enough to have the opportunity 40 years ago to, be involved with this. And listeners, I invite you to go back into the metalmayhemroc.com website, into the archives, and check out this, hour and a half long interview we did with Andrew. He tells the whole story. The cranker from the old Rochester Metallic Overdrive radio shows on there, talking about how the band was hanging out at his house. It's just, if you haven't heard it, it's fantastic. So let me play this clip. Now, this is only a minute long, and there's a riff that Kirk starts doing. And me and my team, it was, we knew the riff, but we couldn't place it, and we finally placed it. So the goal of this is for you to sign up for the newsletter, and in the email, submit your guess as to who this original riff is from. And in a couple of weeks, I'll draw a winner and we'll notify you of if you're the lucky winner. So here you go. Check this one out.
Without that, it sounds good, but when you turn that on, it's
a lot of noise,
but if the lead sounds,
it sounds shit.
It's the head.
The rhythm sounds shitty.
So right at the end, you hear that not feedback, but that hissing, that fuzzing. Again, they were working on a new head, and that was they were talking about it. But that riff, I'm sure there's people that are going, "Oh, that was an easy one." And so just if you want these gifts, the Metal Mayhem shirts, the guitar pick, the Kirk Hammett picture, go to metalmayhemroc.com, sign up for our newsletter, get in the drawing, and that could be yours. Yeah. Let's see. Andrew, any other information on this event? Your correspondence with Daniel, the Metallica people, anything you could contribute? Just
no, not anything else other than, I think it would be fun sometime this year to actually introduce anesthesia pulling teeth again, just once for old time's sake. That would be no doubt a dream come true for me. And I'm just, really super excited that I found this cassette tape amongst all these, recordings and cassettes I had, stored away for all this time. And, finally getting it out to everybody, it'll be fun. And, and the boys, the guys have not even heard this stuff yet. So
Yeah, and the Shar respect. There's a lot more on this tape.
Yeah.
And so they'll get their hands on it and do what they're going to do with it. And Lars and James, sorry if we stepped on any toes, but snooze you lose, I guess. I am only kidding. But a little fun fact that Andrew didn't share that I got to call him out on it. When he was speaking with Daniel about all this, and Daniel did offer him tickets to the Hard Rock show. And what happened there? Are you just going to make it down?
Yeah, he said, if you want to come down to the show anyways, we can get you down here. And I said, well, I can't make it. And then he said, well, then here's the deal. Any show, anytime, anywheres, you let me know. We'll get you there.
Okay, well, I think this story is not complete. So when Andrew does get involved and meets up with the boys, we'll be there and we will get you in a story. All right, we have one more clip we're going to end the show with. It's just Kirk noodling and screaming and doing what he does. Andrew, thanks, man. Thank you for this whole relationship. It's awesome.
Oh, you're very welcome, John. My pleasure. I really stand behind everything that you're doing with this. You're getting it out there. You are a genius when it comes to remembering stuff about our favorite genre. And you're probably one of the best interviewers out there amongst anybody. You've got a gift for this stuff. And, and we did graduate from the same high school. So, go us.
Yeah. Penfield Chiefs, Penfield, New York.
That's right.
Andrew, again, thank you for those kind words. We appreciate it. And so let's get into this last clip. Remember, get up to that metalmayhemroc.com website, sign up, listen to past shows, engage, follow us on Twitter, all that happy horseshit. So for my guest, Andrew Wroblewski, I'm the Vernomatic. This is Metal Mayhem ROC. That's his inner Hendrix. Take care, folks. Have a great 2023.